Hey everybody, it's Matt Rampy. How are you? Today I want to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome and how you can overcome it. So over the last year or so, I was looking and I have about 15 clients that I've coached who are high performing, successful people in their careers. And they share one thing in common. They've all had imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is not feeling good enough. You get to a point in your career where maybe you get promoted or you're managing a larger team and you just feel like, I don't know if I've still got it, or I don't know if I'm good enough for this role or position. Um, so I'm going to talk about three things that I've seen work for these individuals that I've coached, and hopefully it helps you out if you're struggling with this right now. The first thing to consider is a lot of times people feel like they need to have the answers. There feels like a lot of pressure of like, well, I just got promoted, I'm managing a bigger team, I need to know what's going on. And sometimes my advice is ask questions, especially up front. Ask more questions as opposed to making statements. So feeling like you have to know it, you come in and tell people what's going on. I would say maybe you do 30, 60, 90 days where you ask a lot of questions, you listen, you learn from other people and say, hey, I'm moving up and I don't know everything and I'd like to learn from you, or you're the expert, tell me more. So that's one way where you don't have to, it takes the pressure off of having to know everything. And it also appears like you're valuing that input on the other end. So that's number one, ask questions. Number two is actually pretty simple of like, what does a near-term win look like? And it could be as simple as you got promoted, you're going into the first team meeting that you're going to lead with your new team. What does a win for you in that meeting look like? And often what that does for clients is it brings it down from this big, overwhelming, nebulous thing to really specifics of like, what can I control this week, today? What's going on in the first week on the job that I need to do right? What is that one thing? And it becomes much more manageable. And I feel like the stress level comes down, and then you can execute the things that are important. All right, so the third thing is to shift out of what I'll call identity into strengths. And what I mean by that is often when people are struggling with imposter syndrome, they feel like, I don't know if I'm good enough. There's this whole like philosophical debate of like, well, I was good enough then, but I don't know if I'm good enough for this. And it's sort of like, yes, no, maybe, am I good enough? And you can circle around that forever. I would say get out of that whole debate into asking a different question. What are my strengths? What are my character strengths that I have? If you ask yourself that question, it points you down a totally different road where you have a toolkit. And again, these people that I coached are very successful and resourceful. So then it reconnects them back to, well, what got me here? What enabled my success so far? And how can I continue to leverage that at higher and higher levels of responsibility? So those are my three things. Ask questions, look for near-term wins, and look at your character strengths. Hopefully that helps you. If it does, give me a like or give me a comment, or let me know what you have used to overcome imposter syndrome. Thanks.